We should, however, bear in mind that sometimes allegations against judicial officers are made recklessly and or maliciously. This calls for caution and adherence to the principles of fair hearing and natural justice when handling such cases. We have strengthened the Inspectorate of Courts to investigate complaints of impropriety and corruption in the judiciary. Culprits are either forwarded to the Internal Disciplinary Committee or referred to the Judicial Service Commission for appropriate disciplinary action. We also have active participation with other justice stakeholders in the Jailhouse Integrity Committee, which conduct annual surveys across the country to assess the level of judicial performance and integrity. We encourage the use of peer committees at all court levels. We have intensified the use of court open days, court users committees, district coordination committees, and regional coordination committees. The Public Relations Office has also been strengthened to effectively carry out public sensitization about the operations of the courts. Meanwhile, Your Excellency, the Judiciary continues to support national efforts to eradicate corruption through vibrant and timely disposal of cases by the Anti-Corruption Division, which is doing a tremendous job in tackling high corruption cases in the country. More resources are, however, needed to decentralize and fund the operations of the courts. I therefore reiterate the Judiciary commitment to provide a conducive adjudication framework to support economic development in Uganda as espoused under National Development Plan 2 and Vision 2040 by working with other agencies of government to tackle the constraints of corruption. I urge all judicial officers to always be alive to the consequences of their decisions on the society as they administer justice. We all have to appreciate that poor or delayed resolution of disputes holds people's capital out of production and that protracted trials accelerate poverty levels. The courts must also be alive to the duty to support other accountability institutions in order to attain the collective goal of fighting corruption and curtailing arbitrariness in the exercise of public power. I however need to point out that the effectiveness of the judiciary in executing its mandate largely depends on the support of other arms of the state. The executive and the legislature have to foster an enabling environment to the judiciary through provision of necessary budget and legislative support. When the judiciary lacks the essential human and financial resources, the judicial officers can do so much. When Parliament does not pass the necessary laws in time, our work gets severely constrained. Poor remuneration of judicial officers has been highlighted, Your Excellency, as we have continued to do. Fortunately, the situation last year, for the first time, we had industrial action in the judiciary. Fortunately, the situation was addressed, and we hope that government will honor its undertaking to the judiciary. Otherwise, the poor pay of judicial officers, poor facilitation, and incessant budget cuts risk undermining the judiciary and national efforts towards the fight against corruption. Case backlog strategy. The judiciary has instituted a case backlog reduction strategy through which it intends to reduce and eventually eliminate case backlog in the judiciary. We have in place a case backlog reduction committee headed by the Honorable Justice Richard Butera of the Supreme Court. The committee is overseeing the implementation of the case backlog reduction strategy. Your Excellency, permit me to inform you that we started this fight from the statistical point of view through conducting a court case census. The strategy now calls for proper tracking of existing workload and proper reporting and supervisory mechanism. The judiciary's goal is to use the case backlog reduction strategy to improve the face of justice through ensuring the following. 1. Delivery of all overdue pending judgments. Clearance of all cases that are more than 2 years old in the system after filing. Developing and implementing a case backlog clearance plan which is tailored and specific to each court. Strengthening existing initiatives such as plea bargaining, mediation, and small claims. Developing and implementing a judiciary-specific anti-corruption strategy. Lobbying to increase the number of judicial officers and other administrative staff at all levels of the courts. Reviewing of procedures that cause delay and advocate for reform of laws. I must report, Your Excellency, that the Rules Committee has done quite a lot, and a few rules have been passed, and I have just recently signed them. We shall be introducing them in due course. Reviewing of business processes in the judiciary and computerizing filing and storage of documents, and introducing critical indicators that could be flagged once deadlines have not been complied with. Some of the components of the strategy are already being implemented. A number of them, however, remain unimplemented due to lack of funds. Effective implementation of the strategy, therefore, requires budget support, upon which we rely on the continuous support of government. Adjudication of land disputes. Your Excellency, the Judiciary is particularly challenged in the area of land adjudication, especially in areas of delay of cases, failure to visit the locus in quo, mishandling of cases involving the poor, and issues of integrity. The policy and legal framework still have gaps that cannot be easily filled by judicial officers in the course of handling land disputes. The government has to come in and make the necessary laws and policies on critical aspects regarding land matters like evictions. Your Excellency, on my own, after the research with my colleagues in Kenya, I've already forwarded the recommendations to the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice about what we could possibly do. And I believe I also gave you a copy, Your Excellency. I'm confident that these recommendations and those of the Commission of Inquiry in two land matters will be taken up and implemented by government to holistically address the land question in Uganda. At court level, we critically need the support of government by way of provision of motor vehicles to transport especially magistrates to visit locus in quo before making decisions in land matters. Additional judges and magistrates need to be recruited to fill the expanded structure of the judiciary to deal with the existing case backlog and expeditiously handle new cases, as experience has shown that land disputes tend to be more pronounced where courts are less effective and present. Your Excellency, we are in the process of setting up mobile courts to handle cases at source, especially in hard-to-reach areas. Courts will sit within the vicinity of the dispute and have the advantage of hearing the dispute from source. We believe that taking courts to the people will facilitate timely settlement of disputes and restore public trust and eliminate cases of illegal evictions. We shall, however, need additional resources to purchase vehicles, mobile court recording systems, and fund court operations in terms of allowances and security. I urge all judicial officers to handle land disputes with precision and impartiality, as it is the only thing that will defend us when complaints come up. In matters involving eviction from land, the existing guidelines, which were issued by the Chief Justice on visiting locus, should be adhered to, and ex parte proceedings should be avoided. For emphasis, even where a matter is proceeded ex parte, locus visit should still be conducted. Improving terms and conditions of service of judicial officers. This has been talked about, but I just briefly want to remind Your Excellency that 2 years ago, the salary of the Chief Justice and Deputy Chief Justice were raised together with that of permanent secretaries. You did promise, Your Excellency, that there would be a cascading down to all the other officers. Subsequently, proposals were made to the Ministry of Public Service, and Your Excellency, we are still waiting. 2 years is a long time. The DCJ, the side of the CJ and DCJ were meant as an anchor to be able to determine the size of the other judicial staff. Your Excellency, we hope that something will come out. The Minister has already promised us. Recent innovations in the administration of justice. The year 2018 has seen the following innovations completed in the Uganda Judiciary, all geared towards improved administration of justice, and these are: 1. The Judiciary Performance Enhancement Tool. In a bid to enhance judicial performance and accountability, the Judiciary has developed a computerized Judiciary Performance Enhancement Tool, or PET. The PET is premised on a 360-degree appraisal system, where a judicial officer will be appraised by a number of stakeholders, including the supervisor, peers, subordinates, the public, and the appraisee himself or herself. Development of this tool has been completed, and the same was pre-tested in this January 2019, and Your Excellency will be asking you to launch it. B. The Judiciary toll-free customer feedback hotlines. With support from the United Nations Development Fund, UNDP, the Judiciary has acquired customer feedback telephones with a toll-free facility at its headquarters in Kampala. The facility is intended to enhance the Judiciary's public accountability processes through the consistent provision of accurate information about the Judiciary or court services. It will specifically act as a reliable, real-life public complaints mechanism where our customers, court users, the public, can address their concerns promptly and accurately. We plan to upgrade this facility into a fully-fledged customer care center with a back-end office to handle a large number of calls on general inquiries, complaints, comments, and feedback on court services, process the information, and give appropriate feedback to the callers. LexisNexis Legal Research Solution. We have always complained, Your Excellency, about inadequate tools, inadequate books, and so on. The Judiciary has now procured access to the LexisNexis online legal research solution. It will provide online access to both primary legal materials as well as secondary materials in form of legal journals, commentary works, encyclopedias, and bulletins. In order to maintain continued access to the portal, an annual subscription fee will be budgeted for and paid. This is expected to greatly ease legal research at all levels in the Judiciary. We hope, Your Excellency, that unresearched judgments will be a thing of the past, because now we have access to these tools. Electronic payment of court fees. The Judiciary, together with the Uganda Revenue Authority and the commercial banks, have completed the requirements for court users to pay court fees using e-payments methods. Payments can be made using mobile money at the Supreme Court, Court of Appeal, Constitutional Court, and all High Court divisions and circuits at Ruwero, Masaka, Mbarara, Kabale, Fort Portal, Masindi, Guru, Lira, Arua, Jinja, Iganga, Mbale, and Soroti. Points of sale have already been installed at our High Court criminal and commercial divisions. More points of sale will gradually be installed across the country by the relevant commercial banks and by the payway. All these above innovations are due to be launched by Your Excellency this morning. And I will be calling upon you, Your Excellency, in a few minutes to do just that. We hope these milestones should be celebrated, because this is the first time we are doing this in this country, and we hope this will revolutionize the Judiciary. In conclusion, I wish to remind all the Judiciary staff that we hold our offices in trust for the people of Uganda. And in the administration of justice, we must bear in mind the norms, values, and aspirations of the people. According to the Commonwealth Latimer principles, judges are accountable to the Constitution and to the law, which they must apply honestly, independently, and with integrity. Judges are appointed to administer justice under Article 128 of the Constitution, independently and freely, without favor and without fear. This provision of the law is not for the protection or benefit of a malicious or corrupt judge, but for the benefit of the public, whose interest it is that the judges should be at liberty to exercise their functions with independence and without fear of consequences at their decision. And indeed, there should be no question of consequences for the judge who does his job. Any judicial officer who is corrupt can never administer the law or render justice to all impartially without fear or favor or anyone. Any judiciary which has been consistently undermined by members of other organs of the state or of the public with the general accusations which are unsubstantiated will lack the courage and the credibility to do justice, and the judiciary which is conceived as tainted by corruption, abuse of office, or incompetence is not a judiciary that is likely to perform its duties happily and efficiently. Let us therefore execute our duties diligently and efficiently and refrain from acts that lead the public to mistrust us to mistrust the institution as we strive to deliver justice for all. And in that, let's get the necessary support from the other organs of the state, the executive and parliament. It is now my honor and pleasure to invite Your Excellency to launch the innovations that we just talked about before I then invite you to address the congregation. Thank you.
Justice Westfield or Justice Kiabir, please Professor from please come and join Justice Westfield for the page. Can we take our seats, please? At this juncture, we are going to show a short video showcasing the judiciary. It's just a sample of what the judiciary has been doing over the year. It's going to take only 10 minutes. Thank you.
The Judiciary, Uganda.
The Judiciary has for the last 20 years held Judges' Conference, taking stock of the court's performance in the previous year and to formulate plans for the year ahead. Over the years, the conference has propelled significant improvement and accountability in the judiciary and the justice, law and order sector. During the conference, a number of resolutions are made on how to efficiently dispense justice to the public. Most of the resolutions arrived at in 2018 are being implemented as the judiciary improves on its service delivery. Last year, the judiciary registered many milestones, including clearing more than 1,000 cases of sexual and gender-based violence. The judiciary also organized a memorial lecture for the first Ugandan Chief Justice, Ben Chwanuka, in 2018, and it is now an annual observation.
The annual Judges Conference is an annual conference that brings together all the judges and registrars.
The purpose over the years has been to plan for activities to be carried out during the year and also to review what has taken place during the past year. But more important is that for each year we have a different theme. And the theme normally is based on what has been taking place during the particular year, so that we are able to forecast all the activities of the judiciary towards implementing what we think the theme directs us to do.
The theme is basically to do with judicial integrity and accountability and its impact on sustainable development. So the key objective is for us to go through issues concerning judicial integrity and accountability generally, and how it has impacted in the performance of the judiciary.
The theme is heavily because it is centered around ethics, integrity, and accountability. So now, as we do, we shall support the efforts of the Honorable Chief Justice and the administration to encourage every judicial officer to abide by the pillars in judicial conduct. By doing that, the judiciary will become accountable, ethical, and transparent.
One of the biggest sector in judicial ethics, and that's why the emphasis is now on to you. How do we improve what's sector ethics in judiciary?
Continue to reports to people who don't work a lot of time. We continue to reports to people who don't carry out work in accordance with procedures, especially
To ensure that judicial officers abide by their mandate, the Inspectorate of Courts has been enhanced to implement and evaluate the performance of judicial officers and other staff and court facilities.
We received these 799 cases. Then with 752 of them, the conclusion, and we are left with 77. Other officers just sorry, we are not bad, and we don't know what to do. So the first way is to have our own officers, and sorry, senior officers, and show them very useful. The integrity of the judiciary has improved a lot, and we have been able to identify very good judicial officers and provide them.
Induction and job trainings have been carried out for judicial officers, both on the higher and the lower bench. The ultimate goal is to empower the bench and administer justice for all.
The Judiciary has been made it successful in executions because I know that we implemented over 200 training activities at the institute. But the apex of it was when we conducted for the first time there is new journalist election at the institute. We also in the same year we conducted the election of magistrates. We also did for chief magistrates and magistrates.
The year 2018 also registered significant milestones in the ICT sector.
2018 was a very significant year in our ICT strategy. We were able to get 360 shillings towards that strategy, which was the first time really that the Judiciary was able to get specific money out to ICT as a project. We are going to be able to bring in a new case management system, which is called EAMS, electronic case management information system, and that will replace us. The best way to describe EAMS is that it is fast plus, because fast is a database which allows you to know what is in the box. But with EAMS, we'll be able even to add to that e-filing and an entire process where the case is managed electronically from filing right to rejection. We've been able to get laptops, which we have been reading out to students every day, to judges, justices, chief magistrates. We're now been able to go all the way to magistrate grade 1. And for those who are at grade 2 level, we've been able to buy desktops for them. So technically, your new toolkit for the judicial officer should include one of those devices. Big issues that have been developing the judiciary, like missing files and things like that, will be a matter of the past. One interesting thing that has also happened is we have finally been able to get a new database other than UB. We have successfully signed out a contract for Nexus, which is now an e-library service. So we'll be able to access a lot of materials that we ordinarily find in the library. This will be available to assigned judicial officers on their laptops and on their phones. So you will have the entire library, for example, all in and all reports that will be available, the latest.
And we're supposed to be launching the performance management tool, which Justice and Steve have been working on.
So the idea is to ensure that judicial officers and staff are properly appraised, and where there are weaknesses, those weaknesses or gaps are filled. And the performance enhancement tool is going to be IT-based. So it is set to be 300 Thirdly, we have information on the basis of which it can make proper decisions on promotion.
One of the persisting challenges affecting the performance of judiciary is case backlog. However, many strategies are in place to eliminate it.
Well, the case monitoring committee has been studying the data from courts about the workload that is with the courts and the case backlog that is pending in the courts, and assessing how far we are moving in implementation of the case backlog elimination strategy. It has also been going to the courts physically and discussing with the different courts the existing workload at the courts and the case backlog in the different courts. One achievement we have made here is the cautiousness of judicial officers that backlog is a problem and each court must solve its problem with backlog and focus on backlog clearance as they do other.
Rearranging court files in a modern and more organized way is another success for judiciary in 2018.
Now we have a registry. Now, a clerical officer, you only have to name the file or the year of its lodgement, and they'll flick their fingers and get it as it were. So there is a massive improvement between what was and what is.
We are grateful that out of the demands we put forward, government was able to fulfill some of them, like the procuring of motor vehicles for judicial officers, especially magistrates, to facilitate land justice. Government was able to put in place a new salary structure, especially for the lower bench, and for that we are very grateful. However, we are appealing to government to increase the terms and conditions of service of all judicial officers across the board of RATA.
We need to consolidate our achievements over the years if we are to remain relevant to society. That requires a deliberate effort on the part of the executive and the legislature to ensure that their colleagues, the judiciary, does not lag behind.
The gains I think we have made as a judiciary, we need to consolidate, make the courts stronger, make the judicial officers more accountable for their work, motivate them more, and let the country appreciate the value of the services of the judiciary. And I think one way is to make the judicial officers proud of the work they do. They appreciate the importance of the work they do. And so this year should be further consolidation, further output, further reduction on case backlog, further visibility in terms of open methods of work, in terms of transparency in our work, and quick delivery of quality judgments.
The Judiciary, Uganda.
Chief guests, distinguished participants, I'm just here to recognize the presence of the Director, the DPP, the Inspector General of Government, the Chairperson, Judicial Service Commission, Their Excellencies, the ambassadors who have been able to join us in spite of their busy schedules. I understand the Commissioner General of Prisons is around, and all other dignitaries that were able to join us during the course of this morning's proceedings. Thank you very much. I have to apologize to the Solicitor General. You are on my list, but due to oversight, I didn't mention you or recognize you as one of our ardent court users and friend. Thank you.
Process where the case is managed electronically from filing right through to judgment. We've been able to get laptops, which we have been giving out to previously we gave to judges, justices, chief magistrates. We have now been able to go all the way to magistrate grade 1. And for those who are at grade 2 level, we've been able to buy desktops for them. So technically, your new toolkit for judicial officer should include one of those sort of devices. Big issues that have been bedeviling the judiciary, like missing files and things like that, will be a matter of the past. One interesting thing that has also happened is we have finally been able to get a new database other than ULI. We have successfully signed out a contract for LexisNexis, which is now an e-library service. So we'll be able to access a lot of materials that we ordinarily find in a library. This will be available to assigned judicial officers on their laptops and on their phones. So you.
Your Excellency, it is now my honor and pleasure to invite Your Excellency the President to address this gathering and officially open the conference.
His Lordship the Chief Justice, His Lordship the Deputy Chief Justice, the Honorable Minister of Constitutional Affairs, His Lordship the Principal Judge, their Lordships the judges of the High Court, the Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court, and the friends from outside. I thank you very much for inviting me again for this annual conference of the judges. We normally use this time to touch base. This is because we are operating from different backgrounds. As you know, the background where I come from the resistance movement. That's where I come from. That's how I am here. I'm here because of that. I am not here because I'm a judge or a lawyer, but I represent those millions of Ugandans who have a definite outlook on society and life. I would want to use this occasion to remind the conference about the state. What is the state? The state is different from country, is different from nation. Those three words are different. Country means the land where you have authority over. Nation means people of a common origin. It is from Latin. Nativity is to be born. State means organized authority over the country. You can therefore have a country without a state. And you have got many examples where there is a country but there is no state. There is no organized authority over that land. Somalia is one example. There are quite a number of examples. For diplomatic reasons, I don't want to mention them. And this state has pillars of state, because that organized authority has pillars of that authority. That's how we come together, me and you. One of the pillars is the judiciary. The other pillar is what you call the executive. Although that executive has got many sub pillars, especially the executive has got many sub pillars. And then you have the legislature. The legislature somehow should be the legislature should somehow be linked with the executive, because the leadership of the executive is political, it is elected, and normally they have some linkage with the legislature. They have some commonality. Now, this phenomenon of state has been on for millennia, for many years, many thousands of years. And each state has got its historical mission. There was a feudal state. The feudal state was to implement the feudal state. Its historical mission was to implement feudalism in society. That was its historical mission, to implement feudalism, to ensure that feudalism is observed and is implemented. That's why you find people falling down, as if they are sick, they just fall down. It is a feudal state. That's their concept of how society should be organized. You find somebody falling down. That's the feudal state. And that feudal state had courts, had prime ministers, had all those type of people. But all of them, their mission was to push for feudalism. Then, in our case, because of those incompetent feudal states, when the Europeans came, those feudal states collapsed. They were all captured because they were incompetent. They were incompetent. They couldn't defend our sovereignty. Therefore, the Europeans established a colonial state. Now, the colonial state, having captured those incompetent, archaic feudal states, they captured them and created a colonial state. Now, the colonial state had its pillars of state. The colonial army, called King's African Army, the judiciary. You could be hanged for opposing colonialism. You could be hanged. I think Kimathi was hanged. Was he not hanged? Yes. Dedan Kimathi of Kenya, a man of Kenya, was hanged, actually hanged, until he died. That's what you say. For saying, you colonists, go back, go away. He was hanged by judges of that time. Because these judges were serving a colonial mission. The executive, the DC, I used to see in Mbara there were DCs there, district commissioners, Europeans, telling us to do this, to do that, to do that. Because that was the mission of the colonial state. Then you have the neo-colonial state, the regimes which took over after independence. They tried, they were not very clear about the historical mission. For instance, one of the big mistakes, except for Tanganyika, for Tanzania, one of the mistakes was for the so-called independence governments to inherit the colonial army. You inherit Idi Amin, you inherit Captain No Parking, you inherit Kill Me Quick. Those were the names of the people who were manning your army. It was only Nyerere who said, because these colonial so-called armies, they met in 1964. Just a laughable so-called army, 1,000 people, army, putting your uniforms, putting your... They met in 1964. So when they, for money, for pay. So when they meet Mwalimu Nyerere disbanded the Tanganyika Rifles. Kwata huko. Disbanded them. Here in Uganda, those so-called soldiers arrested Felix Sonama, who was Minister of Defense. They put him in the guard room. They demanded for money. They were given more money. They were given more promotions. So what happened? In a very short time, those fellows got rid of the neo-colonial politicians, and they took over the country. And they slaughtered us. They slaughtered us. Sometimes it's good you keep calling me, because sometimes I don't have enough time to talk to you, but it's good you keep calling me. Now, watch. Now, the other day I missed the function of the late Benedicto Chuanuka. I already had an engagement. I wanted to be there so much. But you see when I took government on the 25th of January, which was a few days ago, I was an assistant secretary here in the president's office. I had just been employed. He took power on the 25th. I left on the 27th to fight Idi Amin. Amin never ruled me, except for the 26th. That one day when I was organizing money to go away. So now politically, I had been in the DP, political party, very active youth winger. So Benedicto Chuanuka was my leader, and he knew me very well. But I disagreed with my DP members, including Chuanuka. I didn't discuss with Chuanuka, but the others who were near me, I said, you people, don't work with this man Amin. Because Amin, okay, Obote had problems, and we had issues with Obote, including that mistake of not reforming the army. That was one of the mistakes of Obote. Like Nyerere did, because when Nyerere disbanded that Tanganyika Rifles, he was able to create a new army, an army of independence, not grafting a colonial army to the independent state of Uganda. But obviously Obote was not as uninformed as Idi Amin. Because now in the village, when we have our traditional beer, there is the clear beer on top, but there is a Mkanja, the one down there, I don't know, you don't have English words for some of those things. The dredges. Now, Idi Amin was the dredge, the Mkanja, in Bonde of the new colonial system. So I said I cannot, and people think that we opposed Amin because he was killing people. That's not true. When we met in Kanyomo's house in Mugorori on the evening of the 25th, we decided to oppose Amin. Not because he was killing people, because we didn't know that he was killing people. Even if he had not killed people, we would have opposed him. Why? Because for us, we are nationalists. We are patriots. We don't believe in sectarianism. We don't believe that's our right. That's why I had left DP. But we are also Pan-Africanists. We believe that we cannot survive if we do not think as Africans. And we knew with Obote, we were nursing him. He was not always reliable. We would go to Uganda Club where they would be drinking alcohol. Then we also, for me, I don't drink alcohol. I would go there and sit with them to try and see whether we can put some of our ideas. Even when they are drunk, you mention the idea. But we now knew that with Amin, there is no chance of pushing our ideas. No chance of pushing the ideas of patriotism. No chance of pushing of ideas of Pan-Africanism. Therefore, we had to get rid of him. That was the reason. We didn't oppose Amin because he killed people. By killing people, he was actually playing in our hands. So we opposed Amin. Now, I don't want really it was a mistake. I don't know whether anybody said so in your conference, when you remember the Chuanuka. It was a mistake for somebody like Ben Chuanuka to work for the state led by Idi Amin. It made a fundamental misunderstanding. What did you expect from Amin? Which direction would he be taking us? Which historical mission would Amin be pursuing? Therefore, we fought that colonial state, the colonial army, because it was the one in the vanguard, the new colonial army, it was in the vanguard, until we defeated it and created a new army, a new pillar of the state. And that's why Uganda has peace now. Uganda has peace, has progress. We have problems which I'll talk about, and which my Morocco prayed about. I like her so much. She's a good Morocco. But the freedom fighters gave Uganda a new hope, a new chance, by destroying the colonial pillar of army and creating a new one. You can, even today, look across Africa. We don't have the United Nations troops providing security in Uganda. Never. We don't have. We had security problems. We were challenged by COIN, we were challenged by the ADF, but we fought these ourselves. So we are not candidates of the United Nations to provide security. But you look across Africa, Congo, the UN Army has been in Congo since 1960. Up to today, they are there. But people are dying like flies. The UN is there supervising chaos and conserving terrorism. Mali, you go to Mali, you go to all those places. Even Nigeria, big problem there. Chad, what have you. But here, we created the pillar of security. Recently we had these killings they thought they would come to kill people and so on. But you have seen our response, and you will soon see that we shall defeat that problem of crime. We defeated terrorism in the rural areas. We shall defeat crime in the town, this one which had cropped up here. So therefore, the point I'm making is that even the judiciary must decide, because sometimes it's not very clear, must decide whether to judiciary of what state? The colonial state, the neo-colonial state, which one? That's a fundamental question I pose to you, now that you have invited me here. You may take for granted what I'm saying, but as I've already told you, it has very serious implications. We are able to defend Uganda because we believe in, number one, patriotism. It's now almost 50 years. I was with some of these people in the schools. I was with Tumesige there, in the school, with Justice Ogora here, in the university. But I have never settled in my home. I am always fighting. Not that I didn't want also to live with my family and so, but the conviction we got with some of the people I got to feel here was Africa cannot settle down, Uganda cannot settle down if we do not solve the issue of direction, the ideological strategic direction of the country. That's what we did. And what the NRA, the UPDF has been able to do is proof. We have been able to provide security for Uganda, even contribute to regional efforts within a budget of $439 million. Write this figure down, please, your lordships. $439 million. If you have got a pen, or if your head is very good, you can keep it in your head. $439 million a year. And the reason I want you to write this figure is for you to go and check on the internet the defense budgets of other countries. You go and check the defense budget of Kenya, the defense budget of this, the defense budget. You go and check. I've told you here, within a budget of $439 million, we are able to defend Uganda, but also even give support to some of our brothers. So therefore, the question of the historical, ideological, strategic mission of institutions is very crucial. You cannot have an institution which is just there, not clear about the historical mission of. When we came into government, we have had a lot of problems with the institutions. Take the civil service. They were not interested in what we were telling them. They were saying, how many have we seen? You are also going to go away. That's what they were saying. The civil servants. They were hostile to the mission of the NRM. But of course we have not gone away for a long time. So eventually now we are beginning to get some allies in the civil service. And they really blocked us. You get a commissioner of electricity, but he's actually a commissioner of darkness. He has no plan for electricity. You man, did you train as an electrical engineer? Yes, I trained as an electrical engineer. Where? In this university. Why don't you have a plan for more electricity for this country? And I can tell you, those commissioners, even Idi Amin, if somebody had gone to Idi Amin and said, Your Excellency, we need more electricity, I'm sure even Amin would have supported. But they were not bothered. So you find me, who is not knowledgeable about electricity, and the one talking to electricity. Big war now. They even say there's too much electricity. When I have recently, when we did Karuma, we did this is Simba, Bijagari, they were saying there's too much electricity. Too much electricity. What is the total electricity when all these dams are finished? 2,000 megawatts. 2,000 megawatts for a country of 40 million. Are you serious? How much is the electricity in a country like UK? 55,000 megawatts. Japan, 127,000 megawatts. So these people are satisfied with 2,000. This is too much. It's too much electricity. We should stop building more dams. So I have had to sack some of these people because their vision has nothing to do with our vision of building a modern Uganda, a modern independent Uganda. So we get those struggles. Sometimes with the judiciary, we also get some skirmishes on the issue of bail. Bail, I am the one who read in amending the Constitution, and the Honorable Batkatire was, I think, in the CA, where we said somebody should not be in jail for more than, because previously you could be in jail for 360 days without, we amended it to 180 days. And it was written where in the Constitution. They said even within the 180 days, you may. So they gave the power to you people. You may, to give bail. But now, some of your people, not all, turned the may into shall. irrespective of the type of crime. So I complained to my young brother, but you are people. Don't they really have the same anger like I have for these criminals? Why do they? So these institutions, the legislature is a battleground for these ideas, because in the legislature, because they are elected, they bring opinions and confusions and attitudes from the population, or sometimes they add their own, but there we are always struggling with them. Some want to bring sectarianism, some want to bring careerism against patriotism. It's a big struggle going on there. So it would be good if you could be aware of that. So therefore, my first point is that society is governed by states. And each state has got a historical mission. And the pillars of that state need to be aware of that mission and see how to work together to sustain that mission. Now the next point is what you have been talking about here. Growth, in fact in the case of Uganda, it is recovery and growth of the economy of Uganda vis-a-vis remuneration and which is what many people are talking about. I completely support the idea that if anybody is to get, I normally tell his lordship, Batka Tureve, when we were in the bush, we didn't have enough food. So we were democratically hungry, all of us. But if there would be some lead from Hogo, we would give it to the one who is on duty so that he doesn't fall asleep and the enemy comes and slaughters all of us. In other words, we knew the principle of give the little that is there to the one that is most needed. Yes. Not the one who is the high title. For me, I was called CXC, Chairman of High Command. I could be hungry in my tent, sleeping. You know when you are hungry, you sleep. You don't. It is as if you are under. What do they call it? This the sleeping. The one which makes people sleep. Anesthesia. You don't want to wake up. But the one on duty must be the one who is alert. So when the enemy comes, he fires and then we can all wake up. So that's why, at the very beginning, I insisted that the judges, that time, it must be like 20-something years ago, should get, they were the first people to get 3-point-something million shillings. It is me who insisted on that. Because I could see that, and Honorable Tafira has also added a very good point, that look at these judicial people, unlike the other Ugandans, they cannot do what the others call moonlighting. They cannot go to do other things, to supplement, because that's how other Ugandans have been surviving. They have been surviving by moonlighting. So that's and that's why I said judicial officers first. And I maintain that. The only thing is to harmonize with these other groups, because they are, the way these people wrote the Constitution, about Katurebe, and I think Otafure, and they were all there in the sea. The way they brought some confusion in the Constitution. They weakened the president. I don't know why, what they were looking for. First of all, they said in the Constitution that Parliament can fix their own salary. That they were trying to make Parliament, I don't know, strong or what, I don't know what they were trying to do. But you don't make hungry people fix their own. If you say the one who is near the port should is to dish for himself. Then the other people. So there was that confusion, which was yes, there is some antidote which says that the president, the executive are the ones to move a motion concerning money in Parliament. But that means wars and so on and so forth. So it would have been, they even said in that Constitution that Parliament, if they pass a law two times and the president refused to sign it, on the third time it will pass whether the president likes or not. So it is because I am cool-headed that we have avoided. That was a very big mistake by those. I don't know what they were trying to achieve in a young country like this one. Create those types of confusions is very dangerous. But because I'm cool-headed, I don't drink alcohol. The only time I don't have my senses is when I sleep. I have been able to avoid conflict. But otherwise, conflict was implied in this Constitution, the way it was written. But otherwise, on the issue of remuneration, my frank opinion is well known. It should be the one who is most needed that should get the first score on the scarce resources. And the ones who are most needed are, one, scientists. Our scientists. Recently, Sorority Flying School was about to close. There was a very good school there for pilots. It was about to close because they were trying to pay pilots like they pay, the undersecretary is getting so much. This one is, so the pilot must get lower than the undersecretary. But the undersecretary doesn't fly a plane. If the undersecretary is not there, we can get another one the following morning. But if the pilot is not there, the plane will not fly. So I had to have a big war. The school was about to close because there were no instructors. In the airline, the pilots are getting 25 million. In the airline, in these airlines. So then you have this qualified man here, pilot, you are trying the school was about to close, so I have to come in and fight. So, that's the scientists. If I've got appendix, the undersecretary will not remove it. You can pray for me, you can do other things, but I need a doctor to remove the appendix. We need people who have skills that are most needed. Now, then the next category would be people like the judicial officers, because for the two reasons. First of all, they are okuramura. You know that okuramura? Okuramura is to separate people who are fighting. That's why we call you abaramuzi. The separators of people who are fighting. But the Muramuzi now, we have added a burden on him, say, don't do any other business. So he doesn't have the latitude of the other people who are surviving. Even if I'm under secretary, I'm getting a little pay for now, until the budget improves, the whole budget improves, I can be doing other things, some business on the side. So really, on that one, I'm always with you. It is how to peacefully, because I don't want a crisis. I don't want a crisis. To create a crisis, because you can easily get a crisis. And if I was not a patient, we had plenty of opportunities to have crises. But my method is to try to kuumba, and we are moving. We are moving. The GDP is now more than 100 trillion shillings. The revenue collection is approaching 20 trillion. The problem is agreeing on the proper use of this money, because there's some misuse. There's no doubt there's some misuse. Too much travel, too much this, too much this. Because of that constitution, which is Okuzambara. Constitution Okuzambara, I don't know how you put it in your English. Not Okuzambara when things are scattered all over the floor. Okuzambara. We need to. But otherwise, you are preaching to the converted. You are preaching to the choir. When I went to see President Reagan first time, he started telling me that, you know, Gaddafi is a very bad man. He's a very bad. He started telling me. So I said, Your Excellency, I fought Gaddafi more times than you. So Reagan didn't know. So he asked one of his people, what is this man talking about? Then the man explained to him that I had fought Gaddafi in 1972. I had fought Gaddafi in 1979. Then Reagan said, I am preaching to the choir. So you are just preaching to the choir. I don't need any convincing. The question is, how do we peacefully gather all these scattered things? Now, on the issue of, but on your side also, because you see, for instance, when you talk of understaffing, you are not the only ones who are understaffed. The police force, for instance, according to the World Policing Standards, you should have one policeman for every 500 citizens, for every 500 population. Now, Uganda, with a population of 40 million now, we need a police force of 80,000. But we don't have 43,000. Why? Because if we really go to 80,000, we shall have no money to do the roads. We shall forget about the development and just go to administration. So I am the one who is guilty. I am the one who advises these people, please, don't increase policeman power. to 80,000. Because if you do that, we shall have no money to do other things. Money will only just be for salaries. And in the end, you will have a crisis. So that's why I don't know whether my staff have their to give the judges here the budget distribution. If you look at the budget, the way it is distributed now, you will find that the Ministry of Works takes 4,800 billion shillings. And that's why you have got a tarmac road from Kampala to Moroto now. You've got a tarmac road from Kampala to Kitgum and the Sudan border. You've got a tarmac road from Kampala to Numre. You've got a tarmac road from Kampala to Koboko, to Oraba. You've got a tarmac road from here to Kisoro, Bunagana and Chanika, to this Bundubujo side. Roads. This is my strategy. I bring unity to the Supreme Court, but I'm the one who is causing this confusion by insisting that please don't just think about today, our Lord's Prayer, give us our daily bread, but he said also plan for other things. So if you look at they should give you this. These are not secret documents, they are public documents. How much money on the roads? I am the one who insisted. 4,800 billion on the road, or on the Ministry of Works. Ministry of Energy, it must be 3,000 something. They should give you that distribution so that each one of you has it. And because of that, electricity now has reached all corners. All districts in Uganda have electricity now, except for Kotido and Kabong. So what I need to, and you cannot convince me that I don't do roads, I don't do electricity, I only pay salary. That one I cannot agree. Because that is suicide. That one I cannot agree. But how about other savings? And that's why I want to agree with you. You agree with me. Let's not waste time coming here to talk. Support me, say, bless me, say, we bless him on the roads. We bless him on electricity. The railway now. I want us to build the railway. And irrigation. Then after we do that, then of course we have got education and health and security. Security not in terms of salaries for the soldiers, but in terms of the equipment. Then from there we say, okay, how much is remaining? What do we do with the distribution? And my formula of distribution is on the principle of the most needed service in a society. Medical, whatever, we can rank those services. And that's why you should support my idea of a unified salaries board. Because this scattered remuneration way is part of the problem. But if we had a unified salaries board, which the CA should have insisted on, then we would not be having all this. It would be easier to evaluate service delivered, and therefore reward work according to need of society, rather than the one who is near the port. Because now the principal is now the one who is near the port, puts on his plate. This was in the Constitution. Yes, I have power to say no, but it will create a crisis. Because some of the young MPs have already got taken loans, you may end up with no parliament. They may be arrested, all of them, and put in jail. Then you will have to go for the so let's okuzambura. But my idea of how you manage with scarce resources, I'm an expert in that. Somebody who went with 27 guns and defeated an army of 60,000. If you want to manage scarcity, please invite me. But sometimes you don't invite me to discuss with you on how to manage scarcity of manpower in the judiciary. But I was there, even people like Ogora would have been there, are old enough to know. Until 1958, I never saw a person called magistrate. Never. It was only in 1968 that a few chiefs were selected and brought to Nsamizi, Gombora chiefs. They were brought to Nsamizi that they were going to be to train to be Abaramuzi. Somebody, because after the British were here from 1894. By 1958, you can see this was like 60 years. It was only then that they brought some chiefs to train as magistrates. How were they handling litigation previously? They were using the Gombora chiefs. The Gombora chiefs were the ones who judging the cases. They were improvising. I saw it with my eyes. People like Ogora here would know that. So if you don't have, what are you going to do? Because if you don't prioritize, you will fail. I can tell you this. If we do not prioritize at the strategic level, we are going to fail. If you don't prioritize within the sector, you will fail because you don't have enough resources. So therefore, for me, I would rather than insisting on numbers, more numbers, when we are not able to manage them yet, I would rather we concentrate on remunerating better the ones we have, and then we see how to manage other shortages. When we captured power in 1986, we expanded the NRA to 100,000 soldiers. But by 1990, I called these people, I said, you people, you are going to fail. You are not going to manage to defend Uganda with these big numbers. Because the more numbers you have, the more expenditure you roll out. You remember how we reduced the army from 100,000, we removed 60,000 to 40,000. That's how we were able to defend Uganda. But I told them, you know, a human being, he needs breakfast, he needs lunch. They are fond of many children, so you also become like a pediatric officer for schools, for what? All the money, instead of building the equipment, you are busy spending on human beings. They get sick. So please don't enter the trap of too many human beings before you are ready. That's my experience. By reducing the manpower of UPDF from 100,000 to 40,000, that's how we've been able to defend your country. And that's why I was even to promote on the police, don't increase the manpower yet. Let's have cameras, let's have electronic ways, they can do more work than the human beings and at less expense. So I would appeal to you to look at the issue of, yes, remunerating the ones we have, I totally agree. Equipping them electronically, empowering them with equipment, I totally agree. But just expanding numbers. When the overall budget is still small, I don't think it is correct. It is not correct because you are not going to manage. Finally, 2 points. The land issues, I'm glad the Chief Justice has taken a tough stand because they are really with the land issues. We are getting into a crisis point. You would have got into a situation where I would have gone to confront a magistrate. Because you see, the people you are evicting are my fighters. They are people I led. These are peasants whom I led personally. I know them by names. So there's no way I can sustainably ignore that the magistrate has like this one of Busungu, the one who expelled the whole village. No. It was going to. It was. Thou shalt not lead us in temptation, but deliver us from evil. So I'm glad the Chief Justice came in and constrained his magistrates. I'm very happy to have been here. The electronic equipment for the judicial, I totally support. Because that's how we call them in the army, we call them force multiplier. A force multiplier. The equipment multiplies the capacity of the doer. In the army, they call it force multiplier. You have equipment which does work of many human beings. So finally, I'm very pleased with the reforms, like the sending the court fines on through bank accounts instead of cash. That's very good. I wish you good luck. And it is now my honor to open this annual conference of judges. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That marks the end of the opening ceremony. I now hand over.
Zanya era wangule nga buli siringi 10 z'oteekayo ng'omusingo zikuwa omukisa gumu ogw'okuyingira super jackpot eya Sunday eno ku MTN. Nyiga star 165 star 33 hash. Eno ye star 165 star 33 hash. Teekamu ennamba zo 3 zinamukisa. Oluvannyuma teekamu siringi 10 ali ku Airtel. Nyiga star 185 star 33 hash. Eno ye star 185 star 33 hash. Teekamu ennamba zo 3 zinamukisa. Oluvannyuma teekamu siringi 10 era ofune super feeling olwaleero.
The Pediatric and Cardiology Department of the new NSK Clinic has organized a free consultation from 22nd January to 2nd Feb. NSK is a specialized clinic with expertise doctors and modern equipment to provide a comprehensive healthcare facility for Uganda. For appointments or more information, call 0789 532 822 or 07